Brothers, I got the call. My brothers in LA and my brothers in Houston are with us. The revolution.
Para quem gosta de rap, no geral, no mundo inteiro, acho que o Tupac ele tem uma contribuição importante, acho que com um lado poético. Talvez a mídia tenha exaltado bastante seu lado polêmico, seu lado de conflitos, de guerra com outros rapeiros de outras cidades, mas acho que o lado poético que ele trouxe para dentro do hip hop, para dentro da cultura hip hop, acho que é uma coisa que foi assimilada, acho que boa parte do mundo. Tupac ele tinha algumas características assim que o diferenciava de muitos outros rappers. Primeiro que ele era um cara considerado bonito, né? Foi um dos primeiros a usar e abusar das tatuagens, criou trejeitos e linguagens próprias, tinha muitas músicas que tocavam bastante de forma aprofundada na questão feminina. Tem uma passagem dele durante uma das suas várias prisões, que ele conta que ele foi interrogado e teve uma demonstração de carinho de um cara nazista que tinha a suástica tatuada no pescoço. De tanta admiração que ele causava nas pessoas, ele conseguiu dobrar um cara ortodoxo, totalmente contrário ao tipo de cultura que ele era. Por conta disso, acho que, e outras coisas, Tupac se tornou um mito, não só no rap norte-americano, mas no mundo inteiro. Infelizmente, teve uma morte muito precoce. A história dele tem um final triste, mas acho que os desdobramentos e as discussões que foram levantadas após a sua morte acabou levando uma reflexão para o hip hop mundial. Fiquem agora com as últimas horas de Tupac Shakur. 6 de setembro de 1996. Tupac Shakur é o artista de hip hop mais bem sucedido do mundo.
He's no different than the king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley. Tupac was a king of rap.
Para a legião de fãs, ele é o melhor dos gangsters rappers.
Thug life, that's my comment.
Ele é a voz revoltada das ruas americanas.
I'm gonna say that I'm a thug. That's because I came from the gutter.
People in the hood call him Black Jesus. They was like he was sent here to save us.
Mas para as autoridades e para os rivais do mundo do hip hop, ele representa uma ameaça.
You know, America eats its babies. No matter what y'all think about me, I'm still your child, you know?
He said many times, I'm going to die. I'm going to go out in a blaze of glory.
Em breve, a profecia se concretizará. Essa é a história das últimas horas de vida de Tupac Shakur. Los Angeles, na Califórnia. 6 de setembro de 1996. São 11h30 da noite e Tupac Shakur sai do seu estúdio Lace, no centro de Los Angeles, onde acaba de gravar o último videoclipe. Depois de emplacar singles nos últimos 6 anos, Tupac desfruta de uma onda de sucesso que aos outros artistas só resta invejar. Mas em apenas 24 horas, essa trajetória terá um fim súbito e brutal. Depois de dirigir até a mansão de Calabasas, um bairro rico de Los Angeles, Tupac, exausto com a filmagem, dorme algumas horas. Pela manhã, a prima Jamila Lessane lembra Tupac da viagem para Las Vegas.
Because our birthdays is in the same month, he wanted me to celebrate our birthdays together in Vegas.
Tupac vai a Las Vegas assistir a uma luta de boxe e tocar numa boate local. Ele tá com a namorada Kidada Jones, filha do lendário produtor musical Quincy Jones. Em poucas horas, eles pegam a estrada, mas Tupac não está muito empolgado com a viagem.
Pac didn't want to go, you know what I'm saying? It was obvious there was some other family issues that he wanted to deal with back in Atlanta, and he wasn't really keen on the whole Vegas trip, you know what I mean?
Como o empresário insistiu, Tupac concordou. Será a última viagem dele. Cinco anos antes, em 1991, Tupac Shakur só pensava numa coisa: chegar ao topo do competitivo mundo do hip hop. Com o primeiro álbum, Tupacalypse Now, ele estava no caminho certo. Desde o início, ele criou um vínculo muito forte com os fãs, cantando sobre a dura realidade da vida das ruas.
When he put that pen to paper and he opened up his mouth on that mic, it was just, you know, God had to be working. It seemed like every song he wrote, his life was coming out. Like it was just taking the blood out of him.
They got Little Italy, Little everything. They don't have a Little Africa. They got the ghetto. And we think that that's ours. That's not even ours. That's just what was left over.
As canções dele defendiam os oprimidos, os pobres, os esquecidos, aqueles que não tinham voz política na sociedade. Em 1994, Tupac expressou sua filosofia no álbum intitulado Thug Life.
But he wanted the ones who didn't think nobody gave a to see that he gave Thug Life, the hate you gave little infants. Everyone. Thug Life isn't just something for me. Thug Life is for you too. Anybody. It's all the that society throws at you.
Thug life is about choices. When you make the wrong choices, you end up in a life that you don't really want to be in. And that's what thug life is, against all odds. I'ma still make it.
Tupac tinha as visões políticas estampadas em sua pele.
And all his tattoos meant something. He had 50 with an AK-47 tattooed on him. And what he believed is that 50 black men can do anything, if they put their mind to it, and they were all pulling at the same time in the same direction.
Os fãs se apaixonavam pela sua insolência e pela recusa em maneirar no tom das mensagens.
Was it incendiary? Was it crazy? Were the kids screaming at his concerts? Were girls tearing off their shirts? Were guys, like, you know, saluting with the pistol salute in the air? Yes, they were doing all that. And, I mean, that's hip-hop, that's rock and roll.
O carisma de Tupac ultrapassava os limites do gueto. Jovens brancos das classes média e alta gostavam do perigo que ele oferecia.
Whether it was his energy or, you know, his force or his excitement or, you know, whatever it was. I believe that he connected with men and women and black and white and old and young.
He always kind of had this ideology that he didn't need a record label. He didn't need the movies. All he needed to do was stay real. Because if he stays real and he keeps telling the kids what is authentic to him, that they will always relate. He will never be begging for bread.
Se Tupac queria atenção, ele tinha de sobra, mas nem sempre pelos motivos certos. Sempre que conquistava algo, alguém da comunidade do hip hop olhava com inveja. Tupac Shakur começou a ganhar inimigos.
Hip-hop is about competition and about, you know, I'm better than you and, you know, I get more chicks than you. And it's very competitive, almost like a sport. Then you have these, you know, these huge egos working against each other. It's a recipe for destruction.
Em breve, a obsessão do rap pela rivalidade e a violência atinge as ruas iluminadas de Las Vegas e alguém depõe o rei. 7 de setembro de 1996, 3 horas da tarde. Tupac Shakur chegou a Las Vegas, em Nevada, onde pretende assistir à luta de boxe e se apresentar numa boate local. Ele não terá a oportunidade de fazer o show. Em menos de 9 horas, Tupac será morto a sangue frio. Após deixar a namorada e a prima no hotel, Tupac aguarda a luta de boxe nas mesas do cassino. Ao lado dele está o segurança Frank Alexander.
We get over to the MGM and he's gambling again on the crap table, and he's winning big. He's doing really well.
Yeah, I remember when we got to Vegas, I think Pac had about 10 grand in his pocket, and it was burning a hole in his pocket. He was trying to get rid of it as fast as he could.
Na mesa, Tupac está acompanhado por integrantes do grupo Outlaw Immortals.
They were his singers and his friends that were on a lot of the songs that he was doing at that time.
Como sempre, onde quer que fosse, Tupac atraía uma multidão, principalmente as mulheres.
Tupac and women. The women were a dime a dozen. They were there, the groupies, from the movie sets, from the video sets, from the studio, from Italy, wherever.
No cassino, assim como na vida, Tupac aposta alto. Como lidera as paradas de sucesso, pode se dar ao luxo de jogar. Mas 25 anos antes, nas ruas de East Harlem, em Nova York, poucos teriam apostado no sucesso do jovem Tupac Shakur. A mãe dele, a Afeni Shakur, partidária dos Panteras Negras, foi detida e indiciada com outros 20 integrantes por conspirar pela explosão de prédios locais.
I was captivated by the visualness of the Black Panther Party. I was captivated by the rationality of the Black Panther Party. And I was captivated by the sense of service of the Black Panther Party. For me, the Black Panther Party was a way to legitimately express my anger.
Por fim, livre de todas as acusações e grávida de Tupac, Afeni foi solta após ter passado 15 meses entrando e saindo da prisão. No dia 16 de junho de 1971, ela deu luz a Tupac Amaru Shakur, batizado em homenagem a um revolucionário inca da América do Sul. O nome significa serpente resplandecente.
So Shining Serpent is a brilliant spirit. I actually believed in 1971 that giving a child a name empowers him.
Mas algo não ajudou o jovem Tupac. A ausência do pai, um pantera negra que aparecia raramente.
What he didn't have was that masculine figure in his life for a sustained period of time that would, you could go play ball with.
Além dessa instabilidade, havia também a pobreza extrema. Por vezes, Tupac e a mãe ficaram sem teto. Mas, em 1986, apesar das dificuldades, Afeni se mudou para Baltimore e conseguiu matricular o filho numa escola pública especial dedicada às artes.
That was a really good experience for Tupac because the other students at the school were all artists. And the environment for artists is different. It's a lot freer. It's a lot less restricted.
Ele se encantou pelas artes cênicas e pelo rap.
I think Tupac always believed he could have it all. He could be an incredible and talented MC. He could be an incredible and talented actor. I think he saw no sort of boundaries or limits for, his potential.
Mas, em contraste com a escola, a vida doméstica estava estagnada.
Hit by a man that I was having a relationship with. And that had a very bad reaction on my son because I wouldn't allow my son to beat the man up. And that was a real breach for Tupac internally.
Em junho de 1988, para proteger o filho dos problemas domésticos, Afeni mandou Tupac para outro lado do país. Ele foi morar com uma amiga em Marin City, na Califórnia. Mas o jovem de 16 anos logo descobriu que havia trocado um pesadelo por outro.
Marin City, one thing that they're known for is a fist fight. Tupac was a little bitty guy. Even him, fully bulked up, is still a little bitty guy, which makes it even more incredible the kind of the guts that this dude has, because he fears no man, woman, child, animal, none of that, because they can only kill you one time.
Pouco tempo depois, Afeni se juntou ao filho na Califórnia, mas qualquer esperança de um reencontro familiar feliz foi por água abaixo, por causa dos problemas pessoais da mãe.
My children and I have a bond that is based on the truth and trust. And the bond was broken with a lie. The lie being, I was using drugs, but I can handle it. That's a lie. That lie cost me dearly. Me talking about that period is different from them, because in reality, I found drugs. It's what I did. I found the answer. My answer was crack.
Apesar de desprezar o vício da mãe, Tupac também mergulhou no mundo dos narcóticos.
He probably sold drugs for about a week. His reason for stopping was because his heart was too big. You understand? When someone brings you their wedding rings and they say, here, I'm gonna give you these wedding rings for some crack. You're like, man, it's that bad? It's come to this? And he quit. He said, I'd rather starve or I'm gonna make this rap thing work.
Aos 17 anos, Tupac se uniu ao amigo de bairro Ray Love para criar seu primeiro grupo de verdade, o Strictly Dope.
We didn't fear nothing. We would jump on the stage and perform right now. We didn't need no trays of food. We didn't need a special type of mic. We didn't need a rider. We didn't need a limo. Nah, just give me just one mic, man.
A habilidade de Tupac com o microfone o tirou de Marin City. Por fim, o levou a Las Vegas, onde o maior rapper do mundo seria silenciado para sempre. 7 de setembro de 1996, 6h15 da noite. Desde que chegaram a Las Vegas, há quase 4 horas, Tupac Shakur e a comitiva estão apostando no cassino e tomando drinks. Mas em apenas 5 horas, Tupac Shakur será morto a sangue frio. A convite de Suge Knight, empresário de Tupac e diretor executivo da gravadora dele, o rapper sai para ver a luta de boxe muito aguardada entre Bruce Seldon e o grande amigo Mike Tyson.
Mike and Pac definitely had a friendship, a special kind of relationship with each other. We were all Tyson fans, you know what I mean? Like Tyson was a hero for us kids from the ghetto.
Desde que chegaram, Tupac insistiu para que a namorada Kidara e a prima Jamala ficassem no hotel. A festa era só para homens.
And I could remember us saying to each other, like, wow, why would they bring us out here and we can't even go to the fight, we can't go to the parties. He don't even want us downstairs. And he kept saying, please, he begged us, please don't go downstairs, please y'all stay up here.
Com a namorada e a prima seguras no quarto do hotel, Tupac e o segurança Frank Alexander vão ao MGM Grand, onde a luta de Tyson está prestes a começar. Mas para Tupac, entrar não é tão fácil.
There were a ton of people. There were a ton of people in line waiting to get into the fight. As we're walking by, you know, hey, that's Tupac. You know, you hear the whispering, oh, that's Pac. You get the groupies and you get the fans, you know, screaming Tupac.
Enquanto atravessavam a multidão, os fãs não são a única preocupação do segurança. O rapper famoso também tem inimigos. Sua canção mais recente, Hit 'Em Up, que ataca o rapper Big Small, causou revolta na comunidade do hip hop. Para Frank Alexander, aquilo era preocupante.
And I told Pac, I go, Pac, man, so with that song, he was like, oh man, you heard that, man? He goes, that was off the hook, huh? He goes, they playing it everywhere. He goes, man, it's all in the clubs, man, it's gonna be bad, it's gonna hot, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Pac, dude, you're gonna need more security. I go, I'm not gonna be able to just handle you by yourself.
Alexander pediu reforços aos guardas do MGM. Para Tupac, que construiu a carreira com base em confrontos, a ameaça constante de violência só põe mais lenha na fogueira. No entanto, em 1990, apenas 6 anos antes, poucos tinham ouvido falar de Tupac Shakur. Ainda na pobreza, em Marin City, na Califórnia, e desesperado para estourar no ramo musical, ele chamou a atenção de Chuck G, um rapper famoso de Oakland, que convidou Tupac para dançar no grupo dele, o Digital Underground.
He saw Pac had no home to go back to. And, you know, he gave him an opportunity.
Era a chance que Tupac esperava. De repente, o jovem estava fazendo uma turnê mundial.
Tupac had a lot of fun running around with Digital Underground. They were calling from Japan, and they were calling from London, and they were calling from Italy, and they were calling from Australia.
Artista por natureza, Tupac, em vez de dançar, passou a assumir o microfone e foi um sucesso imediato.
Pac was a master at, he could take your style and do it a little bit different or a little bit better than you. And that was something. And so that's how he dealt with every situation.
Em pouco tempo, Tupac assinou o primeiro contrato de gravação e em novembro de 1991 lançou Tupacalypse Now. O álbum continha uma mistura forte e contraditória de hinos violentos e críticas sociais condolentes sobre a pobreza, famílias desestruturadas e abusos de drogas.
If you look at his music, he had songs that were so negative about women and talked about them like they were just nothing. And then he had a whole series of other songs where he was putting all women, mothers and black women and all women on such a pedestal. He was a complicated guy.
Tupac compunha com base nas experiências pessoais. Foi criado numa família de panteras negras, exposto às belas artes e educado nas ruas.
He was a poet, you know what I mean, first. I think Pac was just so in tune with himself that he can do whatever kind of song and not feel like if people hear it, they're gonna think I'm weak.
He's a fan of himself as well. He would go, listen to what I said. Oh my God, the boy is nice. And this is how he would say it. He'd be like, oh my God, the boy is nice. Yo, Jamala, listen to this. This is how I kick it. And he would recite a little verse out that song. And he'll go, oh, I'm so nice. I'm so nice. I'm killing them. I'm killing them. I'll be like, Pac, he is crazy.
Desde criança, Tupac também sonhava em ser ator. E em 1991, realizou a segunda fantasia. Estrelou em Joyce, um filme aclamado pela crítica.
Juice came out. When I went to go see it, the girls were screaming. That was fly. That was some to see.
From the moment Juice came out, everybody was talking about Pac. It was just obvious that, you know, he was on the verge of something really major. That role helped him more than the music did.
He would come downstairs and he would like spread his legs apart and his arms, shake his jewelry off and everything, pull his collar up and say, I'm a legend in my own time. And I would say, Dag, Pac, man, in another 10 years, you're going to be the most powerful man in America. He was like, yeah, watch and see, I am.
Tupac estava numa fase boa. No ano seguinte, a mãe, Afeni Shakur, livre das drogas, voltou a fazer parte da vida dele. Eles eram uma família novamente.
I discovered that when a child says to you, you're my mother, when they give you authority over their lives as their parent, that they can withdraw that authority. And my children withdrew it. I didn't take it back. They gave it back to me.
Com as notícias boas, vieram as ruins. Em 1992, Tupac foi preso pelo suposto ataque ao motorista de uma limusine. Em 1993, foi indiciado por ter agredido um rapper com um taco de beisebol. Em outro incidente, foi indiciado por atacar com uma arma o diretor de cinema Allen Hughes. Em Atlanta, na Geórgia, ele foi preso e depois solto sob acusação de ter atirado em 2 policiais à paisana. Tupac Amaru Shakur parecia levar a imagem de gangster muito ao pé da letra.
Well, Pac, you got to realize of, where he come from and his family's history with the police. And they hated Pac. They hated Tupac.
I don't know if it was that his heart was a Black Panther heart. I don't know if that was it, but Tupac just had no patience for law enforcement, and I don't know that he had respect for law enforcement. And so I think, why were the authorities mad? Because Tupac was thumbing his nose at them and worse.
Mr. Shakur, can we get a comment from you at all?
Hell no.
No.
Thug life.
Thug
life. Thug life. That's my comment.
What's that mean? I don't understand.
Pac always felt like he would be a statistic. But he said, if I'm going to be a statistic and America's going to thoroughly me over, I'm going to be the ultimate statistic that I can be.
Na batalha entre o artista e o mau elemento que existiam dentro de Tupac, o lado violento parecia vencer. Em breve, nas ruas de Las Vegas, numa noite quente, a violência o engolirá por inteiro. (7 de setembro de 1996, 8h35 da noite. Tupac Shakur acabou de assistir a uma luta de boxe no MGM Grand, onde o amigo Mike Tyson pulverizou o adversário Bruce Seldon em menos de 2 minutos. Nos bastidores, Tupac é acompanhado por Suge Knight, seu empresário e o dono da gravadora Death Row. Além deles, estão o segurança Frank Alexander e vários associados da gravadora. Todos percebem que Tupac Shakur ainda está muito empolgado por conta da luta.
He's just going off, man, 50 blows, 50, man, he knocked them out, 50 blows.
Quando o grupo entra no saguão do MGM Grand, um dos funcionários da Death Row conta algo a Tupac Shakur.
Suge's guys, his name is Trevon, came over and whispered in Tupac's right ear.
Trevon disse ter visto no saguão do hotel um homem que o havia assaltado algumas semanas antes. O sujeito é integrante do Southside Crips, arquirrival de outra gangue importante de Los Angeles, os Bloods, com a qual a Death Row tem supostas ligações. Tupac Shakur, o rei do gangsta rap, resolve dar uma lição no homem.
And Pac just ran up on him and...
Empolgada por causa da luta de boxe, a comitiva da Death Row, inclusive o diretor executivo Suge Knight, se une a Tupac no surto de violência. Em meio ao caos, Frank Alexander puxa Tupac da confusão.
I grabbed him and got him out of the fight. Orlando Anderson's on the ground and everybody's kicking at him, beating him down.
2 anos antes, em Nova York, Tupac se envolveu em outro tipo de batalha, a luta pela própria vida. No dia 30 de novembro de 1994, no saguão de um estúdio de gravação na Times Square, ele foi assaltado por um grupo de homens negros não identificados. Eles levaram $40 mil e joias e deram 5 tiros a queima-roupa em Tupac. A polícia considerou um assalto, mas para o rapper foi retaliação de um de seus vários inimigos na comunidade hip-hop.
And personally, to me, you know, it could have been a setup, or it could have been whoever came through the door. Because Pac never thought nobody would do nothing to him, because he felt he represented the black community and nobody would. No. That don't go down like that. And that's what I try to get over to him. They don't go down like that. I don't care who you is. They'll take you down.
Tupac tinha virado um alvo ambulante. A música agressiva havia irritado a polícia e líderes comunitários. Os ataques verbais a outros rappers geraram atritos dentro do mundo do hip-hop. Como ele era um negro rico e poderoso, todos faziam fila para tentar a sorte com Tupac e Shakur.
But he was just a cat that just refused to back down. You know, that was just him. He just refused to back down. I loved it about him, but I also knew that can be a downfall too. You know, and that's what I was really trying to give to him, that can't just run up on anybody, man. They'll kill you out here. For real.
Tupac knew where he lived. He knew what the system was. He knew what he agreed with and what he didn't agree with. But he also knew that if he didn't make an effort to make capital in a capitalist society, he wasn't going to be able to do anything that he wanted. You understand?
A imagem violenta acompanhava Tupac. Os tiros deixaram 5 marcas no corpo dele. A lesão mais grave foi o rompimento de uma artéria na coxa. Tupac pagava o preço por compor sobre a cultura da violência e praticá-la.
This is all about my image. This has nothing to do with me. This is all about my image. It's like MTV, all the papers, they building me up. Now they destroying me on the same image that they perpetuated. You know what I'm saying? I'm selling records. This is what I do for a living. I'm selling records. Don't get it twisted. This is not my real life. This is not how my real life is supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be really having all these villains in my life.
You can't blame a rapper for murders unless you're going to blame Arnold Schwarzenegger for all the people he killed in Terminator. You know what I'm saying? How you gonna blame a rapper when we only speak it, and then you got actors who show it, but you don't blame them?
Menos de 5 horas após a cirurgia e contra a orientação médica, Tupac Shakur deixou o hospital. Ele tinha outros problemas para resolver. O rapper foi ao tribunal enfrentar as acusações de estupro feitas por uma jovem de 19 anos, as quais ele negou revoltado.
Why am I in court? You know what I'm saying? Get my life ripped apart. But I'm here, I'm gonna go through it just to show that I have faith in the American system. But soon I'm gonna go crazy.
Livre das acusações de sodomia e porte de arma, Tupac foi condenado por ter agarrado à força as nádegas da mulher, o que consiste em abuso sexual. Ele recebeu a pena máxima, até 4 anos e meio atrás das grades. Para a legião de fãs, a justiça estava usando Tupac Shakur como exemplo.
Pac was the one that had the biggest mouth and would say it the loudest and say it to anybody. You know what I'm saying? There was times where he said it even to his mother.
I'm loud. I didn't shut up. But I didn't think they was going to take it this serious. Me keep talking out, I didn't think it was going to be a matter of life and death.
What did you do? What happened? Can you tell us?
Durante a permanência no presídio Clinton, ao norte de Nova York, Tupac parecia ter passado por uma transformação surpreendente. O rei do gangsta rap criticou publicamente o Thug Life.
Well, you got to realize when Pac was in jail, you know, jail will make you start thinking. And you're going to do anything you can to get out of jail, you know? So, to me, when he denounced Thug Life, it was like, you know, I'm only playing. Let me get up out of here.
Mas sair de lá não era tão simples.
Obviously, Pac was in a dire position, being incarcerated, and you know, his money being dwindled down because of all the cases, fighting these bogus lawsuits and all of that.
Suge Knight prometeu tirar Tupac da cadeia sob o pagamento de fiança se ele assinasse um contrato com a Death Row e o aceitasse como um empresário. Em pouco tempo, o velho chefão do hip hop cumpriu a promessa.
I never saw the contract. I just remember the phone call. You know what I'm saying? Calling us saying, you know, I'm on Death Row now. You know, I just signed with Death Row.
They tried to control Tupac. Even when they sent him to Death Row, they thought Suge was going to be able to control him. But, you know, that was just like putting a flame with some dynamite. That's going to blow.
A Death Row hospedou Tupac no elegante Hotel Península, em Los Angeles, para que ele recuperasse as forças.
He was coming off a #1 album with Me Against the World and a #1 record with Dead Mama, so he was doing his own thing. It's not like he needed Death Row, but in a sense he needed them at that moment because it's like, hey, they gave me a $1.4 million bail. You know what I'm saying? I need to get out of jail.
O mestre dos agitadores estava livre e ansioso para fazer sua especialidade, servir de espelho para os defeitos da sociedade.
Once he got out, it was like all that anger that was built up while he was sitting in jail came out all at one time.
Mas em breve, com uma rajada de balas, o espelho vai se quebrar. (7 de setembro de 1996, 9 da noite, Las Vegas, em Nevada. Após espancarem um suposto integrante da gangue Crips no saguão do hotel MGM Grand, Tupac e a comitiva voltam às suítes para se arrumarem e partirem para o Clube 662, onde o rapper tem um show marcado. Em menos de 3 horas, Tupac Shakur estará morto.
I remember Tupac coming back to the hotel, and he was really excited. So he came upstairs and he was like, Jamala, you wouldn't believe it. I did a 1-2 on the dude. I knocked him out. I did a Mike Tyson on him.
What did you do? What happened?
He didn't really get into details about who he was fighting or what the fight was about, but he was really happy that he got a chance to test his ring out on somebody's face.
Enquanto se vestia, Tupac resolveu não usar o colete à prova de balas, um acessório nada absurdo para alguém com tantos inimigos.
I remember Castro saying to Pac, you know, you should put your vest on. I think you should wear your vest tonight. You know, Pac saying, nah, it's too hot. I don't want to wear my vest tonight. It's too hot for that.
Normally he wouldn't leave without it, but this time he left it. He didn't have it with him.
Após a parada rápida, Tupac e os outros vão para uma mansão que pertence a Suge Knight, empresário do rapper e o dono da gravadora Death Row. Suge e Tupac desaparecem por um tempo enquanto os outros esperam impacientes.
I don't really know what Pac and Suge was doing at the time. You know what I mean? I just know we was waiting and I was ready to go.
Quase tudo na mansão de Suge Knight é vermelho, a cor oficial da Pyros, um braço da gangue Bloods de Los Angeles.
He wore a lot of red. You know, it was his choice of color. He was from Compton. His hood, his set were of, you know, Bloods. So by him wearing red, if that's what he was representing, then that was on him.
Alguns achavam que, por estar associada a uma gravadora vinculada aos Bloods, Tupac estava criando ainda mais inimizade. Dessa vez, com os arquirrivais dos Bloods, os Southside Crips. Mas o segurança Frank Alexander tinha um outro ponto de vista.
Was not gang related. If you want to represent a color with Tupac, it would have been green, and that's the color of money.
Cerca de meia hora depois, com Tupac e os demais prontos para irem ao Clube 662, o rapper fez um pedido inusitado ao segurança.
I was walking to the car with Suge and with Tupac, and I was actually opening up the back door to get in the back seat, and Pac stopped and said, no, take the keys and go drive the Lexus with the Outlaws in it because we're going to be drinking, and you're going to be the designated driver to drive us back after we've finished partying over at 662.
Tupac fez pedido inusitado por causa de Suge Knight, que queria conversar sós com o astro. O grupo volta a Las Vegas para o show no Clube 662, só que Tupac não chegará a se apresentar. Menos de um ano antes, o rapper parecia invencível. Ele resistiu a tiros a queima-roupa em Nova York, sobreviveu à pena num presídio de segurança máxima e ressurgiu mais popular que nunca. O primeiro álbum com a Death Row, All Eyes on Me, liderou as paradas. Em 3 semanas, o álbum recebeu o disco de platina. Mas apesar do sucesso, Tupac decidiu que quando chegasse a hora, não renovaria o contrato com a Death Row.
Tupac was ready to leave the record label, and there was a reason for it. So, you know, that reason only his mom and the immediate people within his camp would know what that reason was.
Tupac achava que a Death Row não dava a ele uma participação justa nos lucros. Mas a gravadora não era o único problema do astro. Ele também brigava com um antigo rival, o rapper nova-iorquino Big Small, a quem vivia atacando nas canções. A desavença alimentava boatos de que existia uma guerra entre os rappers da costa leste e oeste.
Well, the East Coast-West Coast beef was like a mirage. It wasn't true, you know, because all Pac is from the East Coast, all the outlaws from the East Coast, you know? It was just a beef that he had with Biggie.
Tupac havia passado os últimos 6 anos enfrentando a polícia, os tribunais, outros rappers e agora as gangues violentas. Estava cada vez mais difícil distinguir os amigos dos inimigos.
Tupac had a lot more enemies than just, you know, Joe Blow rapper across the country. He comes from a family of people that don't just talk, they act. And they're educated. Pac's big mistake was speaking truth to power. And that's one thing when you're talking about a faceless government or the president. It's a whole nother thing when you're talking about people within the industry that you work or people within the streets. He didn't just speak truth to power when it came to the cops. He said about the dope dealers. He spoke truth to power all the time. When you have that level of honesty, they don't want you here. No one does.
Agora, a caminho do Clube 662 com Suge Knight, Tupac não faz ideia de que um dos inimigos está prestes a contra-atacar.
Once we got to Flamingo, we made a right-hand turn. We came to a stoplight, which was Koval.
Com segurança de Tupac no carro de trás, o comboio avança lentamente e, como sempre, o rapper chama a atenção dos fãs. De repente, do nada, surge carro branco.
As it got closer to the BMW, the arm came out and the gun just started firing.
O carro de Suge Knight é cravejado de balas. 4 perfuram o corpo de Tupac, outra atinge a cabeça de Suge Knight de raspão.
After the Cadillac shot into the car, I thought they were dead. My reaction was to run up to the car, and instead the car took off.
O carro de Suge dá meia volta e corre na direção oposta.
I didn't know what to think. It was a fog. It was a haze. Were these real bullets? Did they really shoot these guys?
Os pneus arrebentam e o carro, muito danificado, enguiça pouco depois. Pela segunda vez em sua vida curta, Tupac Shakur encara a morte de perto. 7 de setembro de 1996, Las Vegas, 11h17 da noite. O superastro do rap Tupac Shakur é atingido por uma rajada de balas. Gravemente ferido, com o pulmão perfurado, ele é levado às pressas ao hospital, onde é submetido a 2 cirurgias de emergência. O pulmão direito é removido para conter a hemorragia interna e ele entra num coma induzido do qual não vai mais despertar.
He was cussing and crying and mad, and what was going through my mind was that we just went through this in New York.
I saw Jamala, and who had had quite a night, and you know, it started. People started arriving, and what I remember is that there was never a time where somebody wasn't there with him. When I went in, he was, you know, in a medically induced coma, and I never thought he was going to die. Never. Not one time did I think he was actually going to die.
When I first seen Tupac on a hospital bed and he had all these tubes connected to him, and I knew then that he was going to have to fight for his life.
Durante 6 dias, Tupac permanece em coma. A família passa o tempo todo reunida numa vigília incessante, se recusando a aceitar o inevitável.
We all had this thing, and I guess he did too, is to where, like, Pac is indestructible. So when he got shot the second time in Las Vegas, we're like, man, it's Pac, dude.
Mas no dia 13 de setembro de 1996, com apenas 25 anos, a vida curta, porém intensa de Tupac Shakur termina de forma abrupta. Com a morte dele, muitas pessoas se sentem perdidas.
When he dies in the street, wow, man, what is going on in America, man? What is going on in America where you make it and you still don't make it out?
A investigação criminal do assassinato de Tupac deixa de evoluir quando as testemunhas se recusam a colaborar. Existem várias teorias sobre quem puxou o gatilho. Alguns sugerem que os Crips se vingaram por causa do espancamento no saguão do MGM. Outros acusam o antigo rival do Tupac, Big Small, que também é assassinado a tiros 7 meses depois. Há quem acredite que foi a armação de Suge Knight, que sabia que Tupac pretendia deixar a gravadora Death Row. Seja qual for a verdade, nas ruas de Los Angeles, a retaliação pela morte de Tupac começa veloz e furiosa. Durante 10 dias ocorrem 12 tiroteios entre gangues rivais. 3 pessoas morrem e 22 são presas. Depois de morto, Tupac fica ainda mais popular. Vende mais de 75 milhões de álbuns no mundo todo e entra para o Guinness, o livro dos recordes, como o artista de rap de maior vendagem de todos os tempos.
They lost a great man. They lost an activist, a poet, a rapper, a brother, a friend. He was one of the great ones. Yeah, he was.
He's not a perfect person. He's not a perfect rap star. He's not a perfect pop star. I think people liked him all the more for that.
That sense of humor, man. Dude was funny. It's not all, you know, not all what you see, you know, the toughness and the bravado and all of that. We did more laughing than we did any of that tough gangster.
A mãe, a Fanny, assume as rédeas da família. Em 1997, a Fundação Tupac Amaru Shakur é criada para oferecer treinamento e apoio a alunos criativos. No mesmo ano, a Universidade da Califórnia, em Berkeley, abre um curso chamado A Poesia e a História de Tupac Shakur.
I speak to him all the time because it matters to me what he thinks about what we're doing. It matters to me. So I believe that he hears me.
Até hoje, o assassino de Tupac Shakur não foi identificado.